known us for several years because my company in Michigan is only 45 minutes or so away from where his company is. He had a landscaping business and he has a cleaning business, but the thing, as most of you know, if you've seen Keith on YouTube, right? Keith has an average amount of YouTube followers, 26,000, right? It's not average at all, but what he's going to talk to you this morning about is the fact that social media is highly useful in your business. And the world's changing, and you can be left behind. And he's an extreme example of a guy who films himself all over the place, and people know him forever. In fact, I had 6 people just yesterday come up to me and say they flew across the country to be at this event specifically because of Keith Kalfas, which is amazing. I mean, that's crazy. And I think the reason people connect with him is because he's raw, he's real, he makes videos about all the pain and suffering and all the other stuff that's going on. He doesn't just try to look polished and shiny, but he's not going to teach you how to be a YouTube superstar. Really, that's what he is. You can use this in your business big time. And so he's going to go through that. He's the expert on that. I think I have 7 YouTube subscribers. So I'm working on catching on. And Keith is a 100% genuine guy, extremely passionate about what he's going to talk about. So, Keith, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, man. Appreciate it very much. Let me turn my camera on. What you see me doing right now with all the cameras is it's completely part of the social media paradigm. And you kind of have to throw your heart over the bar and jump into the unknown, and it's scary and all that stuff because you get to the point where you can start to see what others can't around you. So, check. I'm actually wired up with 3 mics right now. 1 for my personal, 1 for the event, and then 1 for that camera. We actually have 6 cameras in the room recording. And then after this event, I'll be going and editing the whole thing down and maybe using it for a product, using it in a YouTube video, using it in something that can be repurposed infinitum. And I want to tell you something real quick about this time travel theory that hit me when I hit 100,000 views a month online on YouTube. The first thing that happened is I woke up in a panic attack because I was like, oh my God, 100,000 people are watching my life, my business. They're scrutinizing me. It felt like I was being, kind of hung up on a cross and put under a magnifying glass. And I had nobody to reach out to and nobody to talk to in the situation. So behind the scenes of YouTube, it feels like you're kind of like walking all alone by yourself in this thing that you don't know. Should I stay? Should I go? Should I go farther? Should I go deeper? And then I began to realize that it's a completely conscious choice. I don't know if anybody ever heard of Geek to Freak in here in the lawn care community? A couple guys. So I started reaching out and seeking for a mentor, and I did. I found a couple YouTube guys, and now I know a guy who has the 12th biggest channel in the world, and he's getting 8-9 million views a day. These are things that make you go outside in your backyard and literally vomit and start shaking because most people don't know what it's like to deal with that. So in comparison and perception, my story is, to most people, they're like, whoa, 300,000 views a month online on YouTube and 500,000 views total online through all social media outlets. But that's really nothing in comparison to what's really going on. So in today's talk, social media domination, I would like to share with you my story and also show you how you can bring that into your business and how you can adopt these principles, these tools, these tips, these strategies that I use. I know that mine is on an extreme level, but maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle and I can help you and teach you something that I've learned in my journey. Cool? All right, I grew up my wife's back there. I want to thank my wife real quick for putting up with me. Yes. Just to get right into it, I do like to get raw. I like to speak from the heart and be vulnerable. I like to listen to a lot of TED Talks, and there's an author by the name of Brene Brown, and she has a book called The Power of Vulnerability. Has anybody read this? So check it out. Check out the TED Talk sometime when you can. It's about literally going out into the open and exposing your deepest fears and vulnerabilities and talking about those things, because what they do is they create an opening. They create something that people can step into, a sense of trust, because there is an I space, which would be a first stage conscious space. It's all about me, get, and that can really happen when you're in the flat broke paradigm of trying to, make ends meet, trying to pay your bills. The second stage would be a fairness and a functionality. That's we. That's more ethnocentric, where everybody else is involved. But the third is when you step out in vulnerability and you start opening up and saying, hey, I want to do what's right regardless of what it does for me. Let's do what's right for others. So I started walking around, videotaping myself, and talking about the things that I was going through in my business. I've got a couple notes here, because I got a lot I want to share with you. So one second. Real quick, how many here have seen my videos? Okay, most everybody in the room. I grew up a flat broke kid, homeless in Metro Detroit. We lived in homeless shelters at times. I remember sleeping in a car with my mother, and powdered eggs, powdered milk, pancakes for 3 months straight, almost getting taken away by the state several times. And I remember her starving and saying, no, it's okay, Mom already ate, and things like that. And I didn't know as a kid, but as I grew up, I started to realize, we were legitimately poor. By the age of 18, I had already ran away. By the age of 14, I was sleeping on couches. At 18, I thought the secret to success was to work 3 jobs and work myself into the ground. So I'm working 3 $10 an hour jobs, coming home flat broke. Well, at that time I was making decent money working 3 jobs, but I had no life. I was collapsing on my apartment floor, things like that. But it wasn't the secret to success. I found a guy named Tony Robbins. Does anybody listen to him? So I was doing lawn care, right? Doing lawn care, working myself into the ground, and I discovered audiobooks. I didn't have time to read. I love to read. But does anybody here read audiobooks? Yes. And a lot of personal development, self-development stuff. I became absolutely obsessed by the age of 17, 18, 19, all through my 20s. By the time I hit 27, I had read over 300 books on audio behind a lawnmower, behind a weed whip, behind dripping in sweat. I would ask the other guys, hey, what do you listen to? This guy's listening to like Lil Wayne or Master P or listening to Snoop Dogg, and I should understand that stuff is motivating, but I started watching progress happen in my thinking. Not in my finances and not in my physical, tangible life, but I was noticing progress happening personally in me, in my heart, and what I was able to see in the world, because the audiobooks were like standing on the shoulders of giants. But something interesting happened after about 300 books. I'm 27, still stuck in a dead-end job, making just enough to make the bills, and I said, I don't understand. All these books are talking about, how to be a millionaire. It's like standing on the shoulders of giants, how to become successful in anything. Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer. I got deep into the metaphysical stuff, the meditation, and it was great. There was moments when I was working on properties where I actually felt like I was like hovering above the job site in a state of complete tranquility because of Eckhart Tolle, things like that. Anybody ever listen to Eckhart Tolle? The Power of Now, amazing book. If you're going through any suffering in your life, you're going through anxieties or things that are, just driving you insane that you can't let go of, listen to some Eckhart Tolle. He'll get you into a state of calmness and presence. It's beautiful. But there was no way that I believed in my head that I could actually go out and apply that, start my own business, become actually more successful, still stuck in a dead-end job. I was losing my mind because I'm running around work. I was a foreman for a big landscape company, and I'm running around trying to share this stuff with these guys, and they actually brought me in the office and they threatened to fire me for sharing this type of information with people. I was a huge conspiracy guy too, getting into all that stuff. But I started going crazy because I started seeing all this stuff and I had nobody to communicate with. But back to the success books and things like that, I started to notice that these products or these books or these speeches that you can listen to on audio, a lot of them are kind of like they start out, so you already make $100,000 a year and you want to get into this and this. Who is talking to the flat broke guy who's just getting started? Who is talking to the guy saying, hey man, I know what you're going through. I went through that too, man. I had a nervous breakdown. I was flat broke. I was coming home to eviction notices. My wife and me were fighting over money all the time. We didn't think we were going to make it because the stress was so bad. You know, but this is what I learned, and this is what I found out. And let me take you on a journey with me. And you know, I wasn't finding anything like that, or anybody that was vulnerable enough to share that type of stuff. And the only people I could find were actually people who were overcoming from like cancer and things like that. Has anybody read the book The Power of Awakening? I'm like a total book nerd. Okay, but I love information. I'm an information junkie. But so 27, I got fired from that job. It was the best day of my life. They took me in the office, they sat me down, and they tried to force me to sign a contract. And they were saying, what the hell are you doing shooting YouTube videos at work on client property in a company shirt? I couldn't help it. I wanted to do it so bad. I wanted to get this information out. Best day of my life. And the next best day of my life is when I met and I married my wife, Ashley. So there I am. I'm jumping around, dead-end lawn care jobs. We're in a small one-bedroom apartment, cramped up, extremely stressed out, and there's an eviction notice on the door, and that thing's sitting there. You know, we have 30 days to pay the rent, or we have to vacate the property. At this time, I had gone out, I had posted ads on Craigslist, started doing side jobs after work in my crappy little $10 an hour lawn care job. And I was starting to go out and make more money on the side than I was at work full time. And within 6 weeks, I completely left my job just by posting ads on Craigslist. It was amazing. We started to get the bills paid. The eviction notice went away, and everything was okay, but I knew the winter was coming. Who here gets snow in the winter? Okay, most of you. Do a lot of you plow snow? Okay, cool. And then what does everybody else do that gets snow that doesn't plow snow?
Christmas lights.
Snow ski.
Cool. So I was used to plowing snow, collecting unemployment from a big company. I knew nothing else but, you know, landscaping. Now I'm getting a window cleaning here. There was nothing else that I could do. Once I experienced a little bit of entrepreneurship and I got the taste, it opened a door that I could never go back ever again. I had some job applications in, but I didn't want anything to do with that. I started going online and looking for small business startups under 1,000. Well, I don't even have $1,000. 500, 100. And some of the few things that I could find were just service-based niche businesses and window cleaning. But I remember seeing a guy around the corner at the plaza cleaning windows, and I saw some videos on YouTube, but I'm like, man, that guy looked kind of bummy. He was like a bucket Bob, right? And I got this perception in my head because I did see that, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And it was really because I didn't want to swallow my pride and realize that I was a freaking bum myself, and I was full of my own shit in my own head. I was afraid to let my ego and strip my pride down and actually, you know, start from square one. And I believe that's a lot where a lot of us start in a job is what is that noise? I was to make sure it's not one of my cameras. 1 second.
Oh, it's my wife.
Cool. And actually in a couple of minutes I'll be resetting the cameras too, just from memory so you can keep recording. But when you're in a job, you can develop this kind of ego like, you know, oh, I have seniority here and it's this taker mentality. But when you start a business, now you realize what you're really made of, and it's not what you thought. You have to start out from square one. You're running around in anxiety, trying to do everything you can. And that's where I started. I ran to Home Depot, I bought a scrubber, a squeegee, and I started going up and down to strip malls and plazas and, you know, saying, hey, my name's Keith, I own a local window cleaning business. I was totally scared, right? And I was lying because I didn't. Do you have anybody that cleans your windows? Yeah, we already have somebody, get out of here, you know. I'm like, but your windows are dirty. I'm like, if their windows are dirty, how come they don't want them cleaned? I don't understand, right? But We're flat broke. Eviction notice is now back because it's winter. I'm not collecting unemployment, not plowing snow, and we have 6 days now to pay our bills or vacate the premises. I'm literally feeling worthless. I'm feeling like a piece of crap. We're going to end up living in my wife's basement. I mean, this was the worst experience ever. Has anybody ever been in like anxiety so bad? It's called like the dark night of the soul, the deepest part of your life where you're so like broke, you feel desperate and you're scrambling and you can't stop shaking all the time. Like that's exactly where I was at. So, you know the whole fear and incentive motivation? The fear and motivation pushed me to go out in the freezing winter. We're talking like snow and ice on the ground, water would freeze on the windows, and start selling because there was no back door. There was no safety net. I went out and I sold 42 accounts in 48 hours cleaning windows from literally 7 a.m. all the way until I couldn't see, coming home just exhausted, and again and again and again, and built an entire window cleaning business up. Very low prices, by the way. I would do anything to get to work. But I knew in that moment that, hey, I would call it the Chinese nail salon, or I would call it, you know, the Arabic food place, whatever it is. If the windows are dirty and they need them clean, I would actually clean them for free if they wouldn't, just to generate some reciprocity. So if somebody was coming out saying, dude, here's $5. I say, cool, I'll see you in 2 weeks, you know? And then I got on that habit, got on that schedule. By the third year, I actually, you know, started growing and legitimizing my company. We were getting into residential homes, and I had to actually let almost all of those, you know, commercial strip malls and plazas go because they're too easy access and things like that. But the reason I tell that story and I wanted to walk you through that is because I was going online this whole time. I'm looking on YouTube, I'm looking for this information, and I can't find anybody except for somebody who's bragging or posting a picture of their brand new shiny truck or their huge new power washing setup, and people were bragging about their successes, but almost like forgetting about, you know, what filled in that gap. What about the bridge they had to cross? What about where they came from? I did find one guy. Has anybody ever seen Don Marsh on YouTube way back in the day? So I look on YouTube, I find one guy, Don Marsh. He's literally sitting in his car and he's kind of like talking trash about how the clients were nitpicking everything. And he's like, listen, this is the way it is. And I'm hanging on this guy's every single word. I found actually Joshua Latimer back in the day. He's driving in his truck, talking about his business, and it was very inspiring to me to find people like that. But there was only maybe a couple. Most everybody else I thought was kind of bragging and stuck in this ego thing. So I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the guy who's going to literally start talking about my fears and frustrations and talking about my trials and tribulations and start putting this information online. It's very scary and it's going to be hard, but all I have to do is start with a story. And that's what I want all of you to do. Even if you don't post it on your business page or not, tell your whole story and just upload that thing to YouTube. So that's where I threw my heart over the bar. I started doing it, and I was terrified because I thought, oh my God, I'm letting people in my story. They're going to judge me. These haters on these Facebook pages and on YouTube, they're going to come in, and they did. They started saying, oh, who are you to talk about this stuff? You know, they're like these keyboard warriors. Who are you to talk about this? You're not a millionaire. You're not some guy who has 5 crews and a big business. You're not making $1 million a year. Who is this guy who's just getting started or whatever? And you could tell, people could see. But I wasn't afraid of that because I knew that there's a guy, if there's just one guy that was just like me 2-3 years ago getting started, who could see my video and it would change his life or his perception or help him for a moment, I knew that it would be worth it to stand in the face of that scrutiny to at least help somebody. And the craziest thing is, I'm really obsessed with marketing. Is anybody here obsessed with marketing at all?